what are you controlling? What can guarantee? And the extras are wonderful. Maybe you funnel those into your investments or vacation or whatever it is for your kid.
Trust fund,
Um, yeah, something to set them up,
college
college
fund.
fund. Yeah,
Mhm.
all of that. And that's actually a perfect strategy because then it's, you're using the child support for your children's future, but you're not relying on it
Mhm.
because you've positioned yourself where you don't need to. I think it's a dangerous spot when if you don't get that child support check, you're not cutting it.
Struggling. Mhm.
That's not a great spot. And I know a lot of people are in that, but that's why I want to help them move out of that where that's not your reliance. And
Mhm.
part of that's the mindset too. Like if we're thinking he owes me, which they do, I get that. But if
True.
that's what you're sitting in, like he owes me, it's his fault. That's not really helping you.
Mhm.
So stepping away from that, no matter what he does or doesn't do, I think is healthiest mentally and financially.
Yeah, to plan for a comfortable future for you and your children if you have children involved in the mix. The best thing to do, right or wrong, is take the he out of the equation
Hmm.
because there is no longer a he.
Right,
There's a you and your children now.
right.
And so if you can base your decisions primarily financially off of there is no he, it's a me and a we,
Hmm.
as in myself and my children, then I think you'll make smarter financial decisions as you move forward. That's
Yeah,
probably, I'm sure, a lot easier said than done. I mean, I know, and I'm sure you could agree with me on this. It gives you have to give yourself grace period from when that divorce is finalized
right.
and the mourning period of that loss of what you thought your life looked like in order to grasp where your life is and the reality of what your future looks like before you can really get a handle on your financials. And I think for a lot of women listening to this today, hopefully it gives them a sense of assurance,
Hmm.
reassurance that when that time comes for them to set themselves up and their children up for success, there's enough tools out there for them to make the best decisions with the education that they have at their fingertips.
No, I agree. And I think, yeah, it's a traumatic event, no matter what caused it or what reason it is for the divorce,
Right.
to give yourself grace. I kind of also take the perspective of I can't control this relationship emotional drama, which I've had plenty of in my marriage and since in the dating world. I can't control, well, I guess I could control it a little better, but I I can
Just
take,
hit delete and not swipe right.
yeah, yeah, I could have done a little better job there. But I kind of focused in on finances and my investments because I can to some extent control that. And I think even in the midst of this emotional instability, sometimes, not for all women, but sometimes saying there's one thing I can work on and do something about. And it's this financial sphere. I can take ownership today. I can take action today. And I think even just mentally, that gives you some wins when you're going through something really hard. Like, okay, this is hard, but I am taking action here and moving forward. I think that that really propels you to a different place when you feel like I've got this or I'm getting this
Yes.
versus just like sitting there waiting sometimes makes you more anxious because you don't know what it's going to look like. And watching some friends go through very contentious divorces, mine was not contentious to that degree, but long, lengthy, years out where the husband was a business owner and they're trying to divide the assets and calculate it, and the wife is not yet sure what she's going to get or what money is going to look like. Or I think just waiting in that causes so much anxiety versus, okay, I don't know about this yet. I can hope that it's going to be something favorable, but what can I do right now to take ownership myself? And I think that's empowering.
It is. And I think by nature, women are planners.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when you don't know what your future looks like and you have little ones that you have to think about, it's not just about
Hmm.
you anymore. Now it's about setting a future up for them that's stable and healthy. Your mind goes to automatically wanting to plan. But until
Hmm.
everything is divvied up, and especially if they owned assets, I mean, I know I did in my marriage, we had investment properties. So
Hmm.
it's one of those things where until you know what is yours and what you're working with, it's very, torturous and exhausting.
No, for sure. Yeah. That's
So,
why knowing what's there is the
mhm,
first step, right? I mean, then you at least know what you're you're fighting for if you're in the midst of that divorce. Because otherwise, yeah, that's just an anxious, anxiety filled place to be.
It is. It for sure is. So let's talk about your book.
Oh, thanks.
Let's dive into, what made you want to write a book. And again, first time author, that's huge.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a journey. So I honestly, it was like before my divorce. And I apologize. I'm a faith-filled person, so I
Oh, you're fine.
God God had placed on my heart um, that I was going to write a book about finances. And obviously, at the time, it was not a single mom's guide to financial freedom because I was still married and I did not anticipate getting a divorce. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I've got kids and whatever. Maybe someday. Went through the divorce and it kept just coming up like, you just got to do it. And so it took years for me to actually write it and get it edited and do the publishing thing. And it's a long process, by the way, writing. I know you can put up self-published, and that's probably a little bit simpler. Um, I wanted to kind of learn the process. I was just interested in it. And
Yes.
so wrote it out. It's really just it's a passion project of mine. I really wanted to put out there what I'm seeing people go through and how to help them all together in one book. So it's got 7 steps to move from financial insecurity to a life of financial freedom and abundance is the goal. There's obviously 7 sequential steps in there. And really my heart is just to get it out there to as many women who might need it and help them kind of see a path forward. I have, personal stories in there, but it's practical steps. Like actually, what are you going to do and work through the book as you're doing it. So I don't intend someone to just sit down and read it cover to cover. You're
Right.
working through stopping, doing it, stopping. So it may take, some time to get through, of course, as you're doing that.
Can they use it as a workbook, so to speak?
It's not, so it's, you can, but it's not designed as a workbook. There is going to be an accompanying journal if you want, or you just use your own, but it'll show you. And I have, so it's out for pre-order now. The release date is actually July 7th, which is my
I
40th
saw
birthday,
that. I saw that.
which I'm so
What
excited.
a what
But
an amazing 40th birthday
well,
gift.
yeah, and I had, it could have come out earlier, but I'm like, you know what? I want
Did
it
you
on my,
specifically choose it? I don't blame you.
yes.
I would have chosen it on my 40th birthday
I'm
too.
like, well, I'm throwing a big party for, I'm like, book lunch, but also my birthday.
That's amazing.
But if anyone wants to pre-order it, I have a bundle package that I'll email that just has like some of the tools. So when you're working through tracking your expenses, it's just a simple Google sheet. When you're working through kind of how you're planning out your financial freedom number, a simple Google sheet, just so it makes it easier.
Right.
You certainly don't have to use those. You can do it your own way if you prefer. But some people, the math is like, no thanks. So that'll just help them out. But yeah, it's meant to be simple and doable. Um, I operate in, like I said, real estate investing. So I touch on that a little bit, but it's not a deep dive on real estate investing. I will have a follow-up on that, or just some community groups if people are interested. But this is more to get you to the point where you're
Where
you're
you can.
beginning your investments. Yeah. And then find out what you're interested in because it's not going to be real estate for everybody. And depending on your risk profile, it might be more, okay, I just want to stick to stocks and bonds, mutual funds, low risk investment products. And some people might want to go all in on businesses and doing that depending on what you want. But getting to a point where you're even looking at what you want to do to make your money work for you.
Right. Well, and I think it's amazing too that women are, stepping up in your line of work and educating other women on money talk because I don't know if it's societal narratives or what it is, but I just feel like we automatically assume that's a man's job or
Mm-hmm.
the man is the one that's always in charge of the financials. And I think it's amazing that the more women CEOs that we see and small business owners that are female owned, they have to become part of this talk
Mm-hmm.
because they have to learn from the bottom up how you run a business.
Right.
And so I think this book is amazing. And having women become more a part of the money talk, I think is huge in this day and time. And I'm hoping, I think I've seen a small shift in society where women are becoming more of the money talk because I feel like more women are making the money in the
Yeah.
household more than ever. And so, yeah, I definitely think there's been a shift.
No, and I agree. My girlfriends and I were just talking about that, how it does seem like women are money wise in a lot of instances making more than the husbands. And
Mhm.
that, I mean, that's wonderful. It also creates some issues, I think, with some of the marriages where the men feel like that's not the right role, or it makes, the imbalance, and that creates issues too. But I don't know the solution to that one. I'm just happy women are taking control of their money to some extent. So you're not in a situation that's, you know, dangerous or scary or you can't get out of.
Right. And I think too, finding a partner that looks at you where you both look at each other as equals,
Hmm.
can only make the money talk easier and probably healthier.
Yeah.
I think if you're in a relationship where you're with somebody who feels like because he's the man, he's in charge of running everything, then that's kind of a red flag,
Yeah, that's
you know?
that's probably true. That's probably the
So
hard stop.
I think asserting yourself, obviously in a respectful way, not in an alpha way, but asserting yourself in any relationship you're in and wanting to be a part of the money talk, I think any man is going to appreciate that or should appreciate that and look at you as wanting to be a part of the team,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and I think a lot. So I got married at 25. It wasn't even at 25, I was like, oh, he's attractive, has a job.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I put as much weight as I should have, nor, would have had I been more experienced in everything. Um, but you don't necessarily think about it. Now, as a single mom of three, if I were to approach a scenario of getting married again, it would be a uh, much different scenario, because one, you've got three kids and divorced, obviously, but just knowing what like the things you look for in a man are a little bit different than, oh, he's attractive and has a job. It's like, well, are we on the same page on a lot of these things? Not just money, obviously, but yeah, it's a lot a lot more detailed.
It is. And like what we were talking about in the beginning too is planning for your goals, like how bad do you really want that financial
Hmm.
freedom? With any goals in life, there's sacrifice.
Right.
And when you say, like, how badly do you really want it? If that's the goal that you want, how badly are you willing to sacrifice and work towards it? I think sacrifice has a lot to do with that.
Yeah. When it's that knowing your why,
Yeah.
there's a lot of books and talks on that, but just knowing why you're doing it. If it's just because, oh, it sounds like I should do it, but versus like the burning passion, like I have to do this for my kids or for my future, then you're going to be willing to sacrifice a lot more. And so just getting really clear on why you're doing it, then it'll be easier, and you'll be excited about it versus just having to do something that you're going to end up maybe not continuing to do.
Right. Are you pretty strategic too with how you raise your children around money because of the line of work you're in and what you do outside of your son coming to you and telling you you need more clothing soap? I assume you're probably one of those moms that is smart in teaching your children what saving is about and all of that. So what are some steps that maybe moms can take with their children from a young age so that, children have a healthy mindset around money?
Yeah, I think discussing it, step one, because it's not discussed a lot. We never, in my household, it was never a thing that anyone talked about. Um, and I think just having that discussion every day, not in a way that your kids feel like worried. You don't want to put any sort of financial anxiety on them,
Of
but
course.
just the concept of money. Like, hey guys, what do you like? We'll drive by a house. What do you think the value is there? How do we get to value? What creates value? What is money? Money is a concept that two people are agreeing on a value. And I'll have them negotiate things. So like call in and try to get things down. I'll have them read. My favorite book is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I was going to ask you, I saw that sitting behind you.
Yeah,
I've read that before.
that it's just kind of a mindset shift on how you think about money. And so I made my kids read it, which is probably a little much for 10 and 12-year olds.
Oh my gosh,
But he
Rachel.
he does have a kids version, but my
Oh, that's
daughter,
good.
yeah.
At least
But
there's
we
a kid's
also,
version.
yeah, but no, I made him read the real version.
Okay. Look at you, girl.
But have them earn, so like, it's a fine line between, again, not wanting them to feel like anxious, or I'm not a part of, I don't want them to feel like they do chores for money.
Right.
because they're a part of this family. They've got to participate. But what
Yes.
other activities can you do? How can you earn? How can you add value? So my boys, last summer, door to door lawn mowing business, they made like $1,000. Like just that process of having to go talk to people, having to think about how much should I charge. Um, and I have a business, so there are tax advantages to if anyone has a business to employing your children,
Yes.
and paying them through that. That's kind of a key tax advantage. You can pay them through it and then put that money into their college fund or their an IRA for them and let it grow, versus just handing them cash and then you don't get the write off. So
Mhm.
I think no matter what your circumstances, just having the conversations every day with your kids. And like even when you're sitting down to do your budget, don't just do it in your room. Sit out there and say, hey kids, here, what do you think we should do? If we're trying to cut 10%, where do you think we should cut it? What are y'all's thoughts? And again, if they're two, it might be a it might be
Bit
a
of a
different
harder conversation with a
conversation.
2-year-old.
Right. But you can still talk to them about it in a certain way. Just I
Right.
think removing the mask of like money is not something kids are involved with
Hmm.
just opens the door where they think about it differently.
Hmm.
Because I want my kids to think about it differently. I don't want them to think of it as this, like we or like I did, like you go to college, you get a job, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, sure, that's great. But why are we doing all this? Is that what you need to do? What are what's your end goal? That whole like see your goal, what's your why? What do you want out of your life? And money's just a tool to get there.
It is. And it's funny too. One thing my daughter's school does, which I think is a really great concept, is they have something called garage sale.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's where they have the kids, each kid is in charge of like one thing. One child's in charge of sweeping the floors. They make money from that. The other child is in charge of keeping their desk tidy, or they have different chores,
Hmm.
excuse me, that the teacher delegates. And then with those chores, they make money. And then with their money, they get to have this garage sale. And it's literally little gifts that are repurposed from places that the teacher finds and they bring them in. And these kids feel this, like, confidence.
Hmm.
I mean, my daughter gets like she is extremely excited when she knows that garage sale day is coming. She'll
Yeah.
say to me all the time, "Oh my gosh, mommy, today's garage sale." And I'm like, "That's great." So it's just little ways like that that I think are important at starting it at a young age.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that, they're understanding like what is a business, cost
Hmm.
versus value kind of thing. And not everybody is going to be an entrepreneur. That's not the path for everybody, but understanding how it works
Right,
helps you no matter what path you go.
right.
Um, like my daughter, she loves hotels. Like, I mean, I guess we all do, nice ones, but she loves to travel like we all do. But
Oh yeah.
she, when she was asked a couple years ago, what do you want to do? She said, I want to work at a hotel. And I'm like, okay, Ken, that's fine, but is that what you really want to do? Or do you like the concept of the hotel business? Do you want to operate or own a hotel? What does that look like? Let's dream bigger and then, figure out how to get there if that's really your goal. And so it's really cool. The last 3 years, she's leaned into that and like on her own, she'll be like designing, okay, this is what it would look like. And she'll go when we travel, like, okay, I want this in my hotel. And I'm trying to get her to focus on the financial part of it, like, okay, how many rooms all, and she likes the design,
It's
because
nice,
that's
the
way more fun
aesthetic
for her
part of it.
12-year-old. Yeah, but just getting them to dream and start thinking about what their life's going to look like.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today, and I'm sure the talk about financials will resonate with a lot of women. And I where can they find you? Where can they find your book? I know we'll go ahead and include all of your socials so they can reach out to you if they have any questions about their financials and having you get them on track. But where can they find out more about you?
Yeah, so my main social is Instagram and it's at Rachel Ann Duck. And my website is being remodeled. Remodeled's probably not the right word, but it'll launch again next week. So pretty soon. It's just rachelduck.com.
Okay.
The book, you can pre-order it on Amazon if you just search Rachel Duck, or it's called A Single Mom's Guide to Financial Freedom. Once, if you go to my website, if you pre-order, then you can just enter your email and I'll send you all just the extra tools and bundles for that, or just send me a message on Instagram and I'll respond if you have any questions or anybody wants to connect. Just,
Okay.
yeah, message me on Instagram and I'll be there.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Rachel, so much for coming on today. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. And thank you for being a part of the podcast, meeting amazing, inspirational women like you are why I do this. And so thank you for just being a part of the journey.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me. I appreciate it. I appreciate your podcast too.
Thank you. That means a lot. Hey, Xies, it's your girl Lauren, and I just am here to say I appreciate all the love and support. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that the podcast can provide you with more valuable and meaningful work to support you on your journey.